Welcome back to Copenhagen Blue. It has been a minute. I haven't done a video in a little while, and it's because I haven't known what I really want to work on. The K-member on this, which is the cradle underneath the engine, is really rotted out. It looks like this. Now, assuming I can get the bolts undone, I found a line on a new K-member, which is from down south, and it should be pretty easy to get my hands on. But if I can't get the K-member off, Saturn's probably going to end up in the junkyard. So I have a laundry list of stuff I need to do to it, but this is the first thing. This is the crossroads. So I did promise this car to my daughter. She's dying to get her hands on it. She's been driving the Bug for the last, like, however long she's had her license, year. And she really wants to at least drive this for a little bit. So I'm going to try, and we're going to get it out. But the cradle mounts are pretty toast. Let me show you what I'm looking at on those. As you can see down in there, they're pretty crusty. And it's going to break apart as soon as I start twisting those bolts. So, but let's get started, see what we can get done, and let's see if we can save the Saturn. Give her a couple more years on the road. She's been a good car. I'd like to see her keep going. Let's get started. Well, now that we're under the Saturn, here's what we're looking at. And you can see we've got quite a bit of rust going on. But this is where I believe you can put in some 2x2 steel tubing. I can weld that in and weld in a bolt, and we can at least make it so that that'll work going on the road. That, or the newer Saturns actually had a weep hole so that, you know, the water could get out. But you can see the crust and rust that we have. And then you get to the other side. That's where it gets really bad. So, yeah. But we have to get off the bolt here. We have to get off our bolt right here. Same on the other side. If we can't get those free, there's not a whole lot of point going forward, because I'm sure we can get everything else off, but there's no point if we can't get those. So let's try that heating tool and see what happens. Ever been on maybe this app called TikTok maybe? And you're an automotive guy, you've probably seen one of these. And I was going to grab one off of the TikTok shop, and I ended up getting it off of Amazon. Same purpose, same type of doohickey. You put the coil in the end, it heats up the bolt. I'm gonna see if we can heat that bolt up, get it really hot, which will maybe break some of that rust free and allow us to get those bolts out. We're gonna put this up here, we'll hit our button, and let's see how it heats up. Now, you're not supposed to do this for more than 2 minutes. I don't think, they say not to get it cherry red. I kind of want it cherry red, but apparently hot is good. So let's see what we can do. So that should be hot. Let's see if we can break the bolt free. That actually broke free pretty easily. So now the thing is, if we can get the rear bolts free, we know we can get the fronts, because they're in crumbling mounts and I'm going to have to pretty much cut them off anyway. So let's go see if the other side comes free, and then we'll know we're in business. Well, we've had that on for, I don't know, about a minute and a half. Let's see if this one breaks free. Wow, not even a fight. Okay, cool. Purely to see if we can even do it. Now, this one was down at the site of the Titanic, as you can see. So it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's just going to completely disintegrate. Ooh, I think that actually spun and didn't. Now you can see it's starting to break apart up there. Oh yeah, oh, there's the cage nut. There we are, right at about 2 minutes. Nope, that just spun, didn't it? There's our TV blaster up there. That'll make all the difference. See the smoke coming off of there. Let's see if we can't impact that out. Oh, there we go. Look at what we have here. All right, McFly. Nice. Very cool. That's probably a bad sign. Alright, we're gonna have to vacuum that out. So much disintegration. It makes more sense just to disassemble everything. I need to check the hub to see which hub is bad. We're probably gonna end up replacing or maybe turning the rotors depending on what happens. But I'm just gonna disassemble everything. We're gonna start by taking the cotter pin out of our tie rod end. To do that, I already folded over the ends here, and we're just going to wiggle and hopefully pull the pin out. There we go. Which means it's a 19 millimeter. Alright, that came off pretty easy. I'm going to grab a hammer and we're going to hit the bottom of the castle nut so that way we don't damage the threads. There we go. Alright, so that finally popped free. I could take our nut off the rest of the way. And then we can take our tie rod and we can set it to the side. Okay, now that did get that pretty cherry red actually. Now that went how it was supposed to go. That'll be an 18 millimeter. Go from the bottom. We'll see if the impact will just zip it off. Now you'll see, you probably can't see, but here, I'll use a ratchet so you can see. When I'm turning this, the actual sway bar joint itself, the inner joint, the ball, is actually spinning because this nut gets stuck on here. We're going to heat this up and see if we can break it free. It's going to get really, really hot. You'll see it starts smoking pretty quick. Don't breathe it. Can't believe that stuff's probably good to breathe. There we go. That worked out pretty well. We're going to take up our caliper, our bracket. Caliper itself held on by a 14 millimeter. One on the top, one on the bottom. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Just take your caliper off. And if you live in Michigan, chances are you're going to get the back of your brake pads coming with it. We're going to take the caliper, we're going to hang it up out of the way. There we go. Now that bracket's loose, we can unhook our wheel speed sensor. Get that out of the way. Next, we'll take off our caliper bracket, which is held on by a 15 millimeter. Pull our caliper bracket out of the way. Pull that bolt out. Pull our rotor off. Next up on the menu, 21 millimeter for the lower strut bolts to the knuckle. Get it out. And these actually have they're pressed in, so this side doesn't actually spin. It's just the bolt side. I'm trying to hit this nut to drive out the bolt in here. The other one on the bottom came off, but it's stuck. So we're going to heat this up, which will heat the bolt up, which will hopefully cause some expansion, which will allow us to break it free. There we go. Another thing we need to do is we need to take off the nut here for our axle shaft, because we're going to remove this whole assembly here. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 31 millimeter. Hey, 32 millimeter fits just right. Can we get a 30? Can I get a 30? No. All right, 32 millimeter. Hit it with the impact. There we go. That came off nice and easy. Push our axle shaft through. Yeah, a little heat, and that came free. That's cool. How our wheel bearing sounds, because that was one of the things I was curious of. Oh yeah. Hear it? That doesn't sound good. Alright, so we know we need at least one wheel bearing. Looks like it's a 13 millimeter bolt. We have the 3 nuts out of the back of the bearing assembly. Now, I'm hoping maybe I was smart enough to put anti-seize in there the last time I did that, and this thing's just going to want to like pop right out. I'm not necessarily doing this in the correct order, but let's just give this a little tap. That didn't move. Let's give it a harder tap. It's probably not. Well, okay. Not the way to do it. But if you can see, we're getting a little bit of separation here. You can see we're getting more separation now. We'll still have to grind down that inner side of the knuckle once we're done to put the new one in. A couple more of those, and it's out. So here's our hub assembly. Got a grumble to it. You can feel the of the bearing. So I wasn't worried about damaging or anything because we're going to replace it. We also need to get our knuckle off of here. That one's really on there. We might actually have to get the torch and heat up the aluminum to get it to release. Or we can go get the ball joint tool. Probably the more responsible way. So we have a ball joint removal tool. This slides down in here underneath your knuckle. We're going to lower this down. So you slide this in. Now if you can get it to where it goes in between the boot itself and the knuckle, you might be able to kind of spare damaging the boot. So we get that all the way on there. Then you start screwing down from the bottom. In this case, we have a 19 millimeter, and you just start turning it. And as you turn it, it puts leverage pressure on here, pushing down here. And you're not supposed to use an impact on this, so we'll use hand tools like a good boy. Now that we have the tension on here, we have pressure, you can go ahead and there we go. So we're not trying to force the whole thing out, we just want to put enough pressure on it that as we give it the hits, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to. Well, I did not realize that the battery died when I was filming the control arm portion of the video, but we did get the control arm off. It's laying right there. We undid the front nut and pulled that out for the front bushing, the 2 bolts for the rear control arm bushing. What we have left is our steering rack, we have our rear trans mount, and we have to support the radiator. We already have the engine supported up top, and then what we're going to have to do is fabricate some mounts. And we have quite a bit of other work to do on the Saturn, but this is a good sign, and hopefully it means that everything else will be worth it to keep her on the road for the rest of her life. But I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.